Welcome, Jayme. Go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then I'm going to do my introduction with you as well.
Okay, so as Brian said, my name is Jayme. I live in a small town in Iowa. I am a stay-at-home mom, and as you probably saw on his little caption about the live, I am I work in a network marketing company called Pharmacy. I've been in network marketing for like 5 years now, and it's allowed me to stay home with my kids and all the good stuff, which I'm sure we'll talk about more.
Mm-hmm.
But and yes, Alex, my boyfriend, is a tattoo artist here, and so yeah,
He's a decently cool dude.
sometimes
I
yeah.
mean, his he does a good job tattooing. I even told so when I left Iowa, I still had one more session left to do. I have purposefully not finished that one yet because I'm gonna come back at some point and finish with Alex. So
Yeah.
tell him that. So
Well,
Jayme, I wanted to bring her on tonight because I watch things that people do, and I was like, okay, so there's a bunch of gals out there that that I actually have worked with too. And first of all, I didn't know how to pronounce your company. I was like,
okay, I didn't either at first. When I first joined, I was like pharmacy because it
yeah,
sounds like fancy,
Pharmacy. I
and
was like, that sounds cool.
yeah, no, it's pharmacy.
So it's
Not
just
as
like
excited.
the prescription, like pharmacy. Got it.
Yes.
So, but I have a lot of friends on in my Facebook group that have either are already in a makeup business, or even if you're not in a makeup business, I have hundreds of friends that are in network marketing. I've done it myself and constantly have people reaching out like, hey, do you want to do this? So I wanted to get your take on it and go, hey, give us the nitty gritty, the real, the what's great, what's not great, what you love. And because obviously you've been doing a great job, right? So I watch things from afar. It pops up on my news feed, and I just loved what I saw with all the gals that you were changing their lives. And I wanted to kind of go through that tonight. So we'll go through that. Hopefully, nothing crazy happens tonight on Friday the 13th. So, she was talking about this beforehand. No heat right now. So, if she's like, ugh,
Yeah, I'm over here shivering.
start putting layers on and putting
Yeah.
sweatshirts on by the end of the call. So, I've done it, and obviously you've been doing this for a while, and you were at another company beforehand. So, that's something we'll touch on as well.
Yeah.
I try not to get into the like anything that's too into detail, but
I'm pretty public about everything, so
sweet.
you're good.
So, what at first got you into network marketing to begin with? What was it that just kind of clicked, and what was the scenario?
So I never wanted to be one of those girls that sells stuff on Facebook, as me and Alex used to refer to them. And I'm sure, like, even people now still roll their eyes when they see those posts, or even maybe when they saw your post, they're probably like, oh, MLM. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it gets scoffed at a lot, and people, like, don't think it's legit. So my friend had sold in this previous makeup company, and for those of everyone who knows me knows I'm very, very frugal, and I like to save money. Like, those are my things.
That's
um
good.
it is, but sometimes I'm also like borderline psycho about it. So the kit in that other company came with like 3 eyeliners that are, this is gonna make all the guys on here cringe probably, but the eyeliners were like $15 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, if there's 3 in there, that's 45 out of the 99 already, plus there's a bunch of other stuff. So I'm like, I'm just gonna buy it because it saves me money. And this was when I was really pregnant, like probably 9 months pregnant,
Oh
close
wow.
to, with Lennox. And I got the kit, and I'm also the type of person that when I buy something new, I don't like to use it because then it's not new anymore. You know what I mean?
You just want it to sit on the shelf somewhere, like just
Yes,
stare at it, like yes.
that's exactly what happened. So it sat on top of the fridge, and then I had Lennox, and I was like bored one day on maternity leave, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try to sell. I had one extra mascara in this kit because I had already owned the mascara before I joined,
Uh huh.
and I was like, I'm just gonna sell, just see if I make a post on Facebook, what happens. And someone commented right away that they wanted to buy one. And I'm sure my upline in that old company was like so annoyed of me because I legit didn't even know how to have them order or any, like, I didn't even know my website, nothing. I knew nothing except how to make the Facebook post. So that was kind of the very first light bulb moment that I was like, okay, if I can sell something and share things sitting at home with Lennox, then why am I not trying to do this? Because I never really wanted kids. And then, like I was telling you before we got on here, we accidentally got pregnant. And then once you have a kid, it's like a whole nother type of love. You know what I mean? It's
Changes
like,
everything.
it does. And I'm like, I don't know how they expect new moms to go back to work so soon. Like, some moms go back to work in 6 weeks, some even less than that. And I was like, I don't ever want to leave her. I don't want to miss those moments with her, nothing. So when I saw and figured out that, like, it was as easy as making a post on Facebook, like, I was like, okay. And I tell this story a lot. I even texted Alex and I'm like, so I made a post about this makeup, but I swear I'm not going to be one of those girls that sells stuff on
Alex is
Facebook.
like, oh no, don't do
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I'm sure he was cringing inside.
It's funny that you did that, like you because it happened to me at Lifetime too. So when I first started at Lifetime as one of the training managers upstairs, I was doing a consult with one of the people that came in, right? And I was like, hey, this is what we can do. This is how we're going to do it. Here's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And we got done with the consult, my very first one. And she was like, yeah, this sounds great. Let's buy twice a week and do this and this. And I'm like, oh, crap. I don't know how to sell it. So it was the exact same thing. I was like, oh yeah, that's awesome. I'm new here. I don't know how to actually sell you this. I'm gonna get some help and thank you for supporting me.
Yes.
So, so it was funny because it was the same way. So like when we go back, how long was it ago? It was in Iowa. I think 8 years is when I moved away from Iowa, and so we were all working out at Key West. I don't even know what it's called now. What is it called now?
Fit. It's fit.
Fit,
Like fit.
just fit.
Waterloo, fit, Cedar
Sweet.
Valley, whatever.
So when we were in there, that if I look back at us then and then I see you now, I'm like, there's no way Jayme's ever gonna be doing what she's doing now, and there's no
Right?
way that she has multiple kids. Like it just wasn't something that you ever think you would see, right?
I
So
know. It's so weird.
how has that transition felt since you kind of went from that mentality to where you're at now?
I actually am really glad it panned out the way it did. I mean, like, I feel like I'm a completely different person. Like, thinking back, like, how we used to go, you didn't really, but I used to go out and party and eat, especially in college. Like, I remember going out every night. And now I'm to the point in my life, like, that I realize, and I do, like, a huge part of network marketing is personal development. So I read a lot of personal development, and it's kind of the thing that, like, I could be drinking right now, or I could be doing something that actually, like, improves my life. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Like, and it's weird to think about it now. And I'm not going to sit here and say I still don't have drinks. I had some wine last night, but it's the fact that I'm like, yeah, I know that, like, I'm going to feel like shit tomorrow, and I could be doing something productive with my life instead of something that's not getting me any closer to my goals realistically, you know?
Exactly. And are you 30 yet?
Ugh. I just turned 30 on Monday.
Guys, she just turned 30. So,
Way to freaking really grind it in there.
yeah, happy belated birthday.
Yeah, thank
When
you.
you hit 30, especially when it considering alcohol, you do not recover nearly
Yeah.
as fast as when you're 21. So it's like,
Yeah, exactly. I don't
so
know how I
whenever
do it.
people are like, "Oh, you want to drink?" I'm like, "Nope. I will take a lot of caffeine and try to get like a super happy high with you guys." But that's
Yeah.
about it's
Yeah.
very rare that I do it. So you got into this, and we'll go into details. The first thing I kind of want to step back into is when you first got started, right? It was probably a little bit scary because I mean it's hard for a lot of people to just like throw stuff out there. So what was it that kind of got that ball rolling? So you got the first person to say, "Yes, I want to buy this." What was it that really helped you during those initial stages?
So I feel like for me, and I know a lot of people aren't like this, I feel like I have an intuition that you might be, but I'm very self motivated. I'm very much a perfectionist. So, and like, my parents have always raised me, and I think my mom is on the live right now, possibly, but
Let's see if she's
she
commenting.
And my dad have always raised me like you don't quit things. So I never quit sports when I once I started, like you finish the season or you finish what you started. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So once I started and like made it public that I was gonna do this, it was like, okay, now I'm all in. I'm all
You're
in and
committed
I
now.
decided, yeah, and like literally it wasn't really anything specifically that happened after that except my own like internal motivation saying, all right, now that you started it and you know it works, now you're going to go full fledged and you're going to do it. And from literally once I went back to work, I guess this was maybe another step that just like kept pushing me closer. But, you know, I went back to work that first day and it was just a half day, but I cried every time anyone mentioned Lennox or mentioned baby or said
Yep.
anything that related to that. I would just like burst into tears and I was like, I don't want to be away from her. So, you know, those things combined just made it. And I was like, I'm going to get to the point where I can quit my job and stay home. What I need to figure out what that number is, what that monthly number is for Alex and I, what I need to do to get there. And from that moment, I was like, okay, that's my goal. That's what I'm going to do.
And that's awesome because so here's the issue, right? So yeah, we're self motivated. I'm also like OCD. My wife gives me a hard time because she's like, "Babe, you don't have OCD." I'm like, the only reason I don't have OCD is because I haven't clinically actually gone into the doctor to have them diagnose me. But
Yeah.
it's like it's for those of us that have that like perfectionist drive. It's great, but what about individuals that may not have that? So I'm sure you've encountered a lot of gals in your life. I mean, as through your 5 years, right? So
Yes.
a lot of them are going to be self motivated because naturally the ones that do this, generally speaking, are probably going to have that qualities to some extent. But if somebody is kind of on the fence and they don't have that push, and what do you think are a couple of things that would help them out, or what has helped them out?
So something, well, two things. It's very hard for me being self-motivated and finding people who, cuz like we're all adults in this business. Like it's literally your job in your business to do what you need to do. And I feel like so often in network marketing, people are easy to blame other people for their lack of success, but then
Yep.
they don't blame or give people credit for their success either. You know what I mean?
It's funny how that
So
works.
yeah, exactly. So that's hard. It's really hard for me to see people's potential, but them not go after it. But it's something that I've learned. Like, I can spend so much time telling you how much potential you have, but if you're not willing to put in the work, then it's really just a waste of my time. But something that we talk a lot about, especially as leaders, is you really have to help people find their why. And I mean, it sounds cheesy, I'm sure, but you have to figure out like, why do you want to do this extra business? Why do you need why do you need the extra money? But even if they say I need extra money, you have to keep digging deeper. Why do you
Hmm.
need the extra money? And then if it's like, because I want this, it's like, well, why do you want that? And it really like trickles down so far. Like some people have really deep I can't think of the word, but like it goes way back,
Yep.
way deeper than the surface of I just want more money, you know. Some people, like for me, it goes back to just wanting to be home with my kids and not wanting to miss any moments with them, and
Hmm.
that's enough of a why for me because I see my kids every day. So every day that I see them, I'm like, I need to keep working so that I can keep staying home with them, you know. But you just have to really dig super deep into why you joined the company that you joined, and you have to really keep that on the forefront because I feel like it's so easy for people to lose focus of that if it's not right there in front of them always.
That's funny that you mentioned that because that's chapter 1 and 2 of my book. And
Really?
so it's guys, by the way, in case I need to remind you, this is not scripted whatsoever. She actually was freaking out because she's like, what are you going to ask me? What should I know? And I'm like, don't worry about it. We're just going to go through it. And so it's funny that you mentioned that because those were the first two chapters of the book. And it's when I sold. So when I left Iowa, I was in sales for the last 8 years. And it was when and let's just use fitness. Obviously, that was what I was doing most of the time. When somebody sat down in front of me and said, "Hey, I want to come to the gym and I want to lose 30 pounds," because I'd ask, "What brought you in today?" Right? "Oh, I want to lose 30 pounds." "Great. Why?" "Well, because I'm fat." "Awesome. What is it that being overweight that you don't like? What is that? How does that make you feel? What is it that you wish you could change, and why is that important? So why,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And so it's funny how that all correlates, because not only can you use that for the client, but as somebody that you're working with, you have to dig into it and go, hey, what is my core why? Because if one, you're going to quit if you don't have that, to
Yep.
your point. Two, and I like how you dig that out, because nobody is going to commit to something with enough passion and intensity that if we don't really dig deep. So, for example, for you, kids are a huge driver. So I'm sure if anybody was able to play that into anything in your life, you're going to be like, if it helps me spend time with my kids and improve my kids, I'm probably going to buy it, or I'm going to do it, or I'm going to participate in it.
Yes. And
So,
I think it's
go
so
ahead.
important to know those things about, for me, like my team, because then if they're slowing down or they're struggling, it's like, hey, remember when you told me that you wanted to stay home with your kids? You know, you can kind of bring that back up to surface level and use that, not, I don't want to say to my advantage, but to make sure they remember why they started this business and why it was important to them.
Hmm. So, I want to circle back a little bit. Earlier, you talked about how when you first jumped in, you're like, hey, I started talking to Alex. I wanted to see, how do we make ends meet? So, if I'm going to make this a full time thing, we have to make ends meet. We got to have A, B, and C. When you looked at that, how did you lay that out? So, what did you do backwards? So, like for what I did in mine, if I had a goal every month, I'm going to be like, oh, I need to sell 100 memberships, which means I need to make 300 phone calls, which means I need to do, and then I would just do it backwards. For you, when you looked at that originally, how did you kind of dive into that and go, hey, so we need to make X amount of money and do this. How do I get to that? So, what was your thought process about getting into that?
So you're pulling some memory cells because it was with my old company. So I don't exactly remember everything about the plan, but it was like an elite status. And we're very lucky that Alex, as you know, makes good money.
Hmm.
So
He works 12 hours a day. I mean, at least he was
he
when I
works
was up
long
there.
days. Yeah. So we're lucky in that aspect, but I'm also the type of person that I've always worked ever since I was old enough to drive. Even before then, I babysat like my cousins and stuff, and my mom would drop me off on her way to work.
Yep.
So I'm the type of person that, like, I don't want to ask Alex for money if I want to buy something. I want to have my own. I'm also like a plan B person. So for some reason, Alex leaves me, I have my own money still. You know what I mean? So we decided, like, hey, here's X amount that we would want. And I knew that if I got to that certain status and I was able to maintain that status every month, that that would be enough for our family.
That's awesome.
Another huge part of it was that we were working on closing on our home here in Traer. So we had to kind of wait for that to finalize, obviously, before I quit my job. But now, like with this new company, which we can get into further, but like now I can do all the things by myself, which is totally awesome. But essentially, it just took knowing what I needed. And like I said, it's been a while, but like a certain amount of sales, I had to have a certain amount of teammates doing a certain amount of sales, also, like those type
Hmm.
of things. So I kind of like, and we still do this even in, and I'm sure every company does, we kind of like map out our month. Like, what's my goal and what do I need to do to help the people under me reach their goals, which is then going to help them, their leaders, reach their goals, and it's going to trickle all the way up, right? So
Yep.
it's the same concept. You help. How am I successful is because I'm able to help everyone that is on my team be successful, which is more important to me than me being successful, is helping other people be successful. Because, like, honestly, I couldn't even tell you what, like, and some of these words might be like lingo to you, but like my volume right now,
Uh huh.
because honestly, I'm
The
just so focused
GV.
on GV. I'm just so focused on, like, every time I check numbers, I'm checking my team's numbers to
Hmm.
where they're see where they're at towards getting towards their end of the month goals.
And how cool
So
is it when you see other people doing that? Like, how does that feel when you see
it's
that?
awesome. Like, I have a girl on my team who's quitting her job in January, and like that's the stuff I live for. It's so awesome to know that, like, we truly, and I know, again, people roll their eyes when they see these posts or hear these words come out of my mouth. I know they're going to roll their eyes, but it's so cool to know that, like, it is a legit opportunity, and you can actually make money, and you can actually quit your job and stay home with your kids or
Yep.
whatever you want to do. There's like there's no ceiling in network marketing. It's crazy.
That's what I liked about it is the potential is always there. If you find that niche that you love
Yeah.
and you go with it, there is no ceiling. So you're always working through that. So kind of one of the things you just said, hold on, we're taking a 30-second break. Uh, Andrew says, this is awesome. I'm sharing. Vicky Payne says hi. Jessica Woodard says, hey. Are you seeing these?
I'm going back to the
Hi,
page right
hi, Mom. Mary's on there. She said hello.
now.
Lori's on 110%. I love it. So, if you guys are on this tonight, shoot us a story on your comments about your Friday the 13th if anything crazy happened today. I want to see some cool stuff in here while we're chatting. Or if something's previously happened and you have a good story, I want to see it. So, I want to go back to so a lot of people when they think network marketing they're like, oh, they just post on Facebook or they just do this. It's like, no, there's a crap load of stuff that goes in this. Like,
Yeah.
one of the things that you hit on earlier was when you said, the struggle for somebody that is so OCD perfectionist type mentality is when you have someone that doesn't want to put in the work. It's and you know that they have that potential. It's like, oh, I just want to wring your head out. It's like you have so much potential, and it's so you have to take the good and the bad, right? So the one thing that was frustrating with me was I had people that were willing to put in that, they were 110% ready to rock, let's go. But then you had 70% for me. I mean, when I was in it, it was like 70% was like, I'm gonna go to a call maybe once a week. I'm gonna try talking to two people this week, and it's like that's not going to do it for you. So back to the other one. You have to look at yourself first before you look at anybody else. So hey, have I done everything I need to do to be successful? No? Then I can't blame anybody else. So
Right.
my question with that is there's a lot that goes on in your world. So obviously you have the kiddos. You have to deal with the stress of being with Alex, because he's crazy. And so how do you structure your day? So what is it that you do to try to stay ahead of that? And how do you work everything in? And what does that look like what's your average day really look like with that?
Well, honestly, it hasn't looked very pretty the last couple weeks because Lennox went to remote learning.
You're not perfect. You can't do everything perfect every day.
Oh, no. I wish. Um, so that's been super hard, and COVID has thrown some serious wrenches in. I mean, 2020 has just been a nightmare, let's be honest.
Let's go to
Um,
January. Just
yes. So we have been doing remote learning, which has made things super hard, but essentially I try to get up in the morning and do the basic things, and I was doing way better about this, but I have like a morning routine, and when I do it, it starts my day out perfect. I don't know if any of you have read The Morning Miracle by, oh, I don't know his name. I can't remember it.
I
I'll
don't
look it
think
up.
I've read that.
You have?
No, I haven't. That's what's it
Oh,
about?
it's awesome. You like get up and you meditate right away. You do gratitude journaling, affirmations, workout, and something else. And of
I
course, I
do
can't
all
remember.
those, but not in the morning.
Okay. So,
So
but when you do it in the morning, it's just like, especially, it helped me. Like I said, we're kind of in the business of doing personal development. Like I get to, how I get better is by making myself better. You know what I mean?
yep.
So it's nice like to start your day out that way. But I haven't been so good about that lately. I'm not even gonna lie. But I try to do like my basic things in the morning, like my relationship building things that are on my phone. It's just real quick and easy things. I try to touch base with my team, which I can't touch base with everyone every single day. I'm just gonna be honest. I
That's hard.
have like over 200 personally sponsored, so I
I was
could
gonna ask
spend
what you were at with that.
I could
Yeah,
yeah, I could spend, like, if I literally message everyone on my front line every day, I would spend all day every day doing that. Especially
literally.
when you think like it's going to turn into a conversation. It's not just one message out to them. And I do like a messenger party is what it's called. I do at least two of those every single night, except on Lennox's dance nights. So yeah, I don't really have a good schedule. I go live every day, but I do feel like I do all the things every day. It's just not always in the same order, but there are like non-negotiables that I make sure that I do every day. And I feel like this is going to be I guess my one brag on myself is that I'm a
Hey,
leader.
brag.
I'm a leader that leads by example. So I'm out there doing the things. I might not be doing as many trainings, and like I don't know that I don't do live trainings a lot for my team, but I am out there leading by example, and I would never tell them to do something that I'm not already doing, which I feel like is very important. I'm not going to be out there being like, you need to go live every day if I'm not going live every day, or you need to do these parties and increase your network if I'm not doing those things. Or but I show up every single day for my business no matter what's going on in my life. Like if you go through my Facebook, I bet you can't find a day that I didn't post something related to my business.
Oh yeah, no, I would be very surprised if I didn't see
Yeah.
anything. And it's like, because I try not to do this. I'm trying to. So I actually, it's funny that I'm on my phone on Facebook right now because I actually deleted the app off my phone because I just
Oh
didn't want
God.
to. I didn't want to scroll through it. One, politics because I don't want to see all that crap right now. Two, it was like, how many hours a day am I just
Oh
flopping
yeah.
through stuff? And I was like, oh, I'd see your story every day. It's like, oh, Jamie's story, Jamie's story. So,
Yep. There's it
uh,
again.
it's leadership 101. I think that's a good point to hammer home is when you talked about, I'm not going to have anybody else do something that I wouldn't do. And it's crazy how many people are like that, though. We're on the opposite end. So I've had bosses that were like, oh, yeah, you need to do this, 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 and this. And okay, show me. Lead from the front. Go and
Yep.
get in the trenches. And it's like, no, I can't do that. Well, and it's hard because then the morale goes down. There's a lack of trust because they're like, oh, they just want me to put in the work, and then they have things going on the inside, and they're like, oh, well, maybe she's just trying to mooch off of me. So I'm glad that you do that. That's awesome.
But yeah, that's the thing too, is like my sponsor's actually on here, Cindy, and she just messaged me before I got on here. She's like, your personal sales are so high this month. And I'm that type of person. It's like, yes, it's super cool if someone on my team is doing better than me, because I feel like that reflects on me as a leader.
Yeah.
And if someone's doing better than me, that's awesome. I would love to have people outshine me on my team. Don't get me wrong, but I'm also like a little bit
You're
competitive.
gonna be
And
competitive about it, yeah.
yeah, like I also want to lead from the front. So like I want to have the highest sales, and if I'm not, I want to be right up there in the running. So that's something that I strive to do too, is just make sure like I'm leading by example, like with recruiting, with sales, with all those things,
Mm-hmm.
because again, I can't expect them to be out there getting however many $100 in sales if I'm not even doing that. And I'm not going to sit back. I don't think there'll ever be a day where I will just sit back and be like, oh, my team's doing good. I'm just gonna like slide by this month, you
Yep.
know?
That's it's funny that we I'm just going through all these different leaders. I've had great leaders and I've had not great leaders, and I think one of the things I want everybody to write down that's watching this right now, if what you just said is awesome, is you have to have this fine line, right? So you said that you were also competitive. Like, yeah, I want people to do better than me. So a great leader is not going to be afraid to have somebody else do better than them, because that means, yes, I have taught you what you needed to know in order to be successful. But at the same token, you're not just going to let that happen without giving a little nudge back. And I think that's where a lot of people have a hard time, especially in a leadership role, is you have to find that balance where I'm going to be competitive with you, but I also want you to do better than me. And
Yeah.
ego has to go out the
I can
window.
I can think of an example of that too. In my last company, I had a leader above me, and like she didn't, and like I like, again, Cindy, my sponsor, is on here, and she can tell you that I like words of affirmation. I like posts saying like you're doing awesome, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And this other leader, it was always like she would never give, like I was bringing a huge part of my team in my old company was bringing, I would say, at least half of her group volume, and she would never give me any credit. It was always about like, oh, can she do better than me or not? And like that's not how I ever want to be as a leader. Like if your team is bringing a huge part of our team volume, like I'm going to pat you on the freaking back because that's awesome.
Yep.
But I'm also going to be out there in the trenches too, you know?
And that's it's crazy that and I don't know how people continue to do that, one after another, because you would think that if you'd see that and go, oh, she's doing better than me, and now all of a sudden she's way up here, maybe the way my attitude is towards this isn't exactly how it should be. So
Yeah.
learning from mistakes on that is a huge thing. So, oh, there's so many things I want to go through. Where are we at right now? So we're at half an hour in. Okay.
Now
Uh,
I know how they take like 60 to 90 minutes. At first I was like, I don't know what we're going to talk about that long, but once it gets rolling.
no, there's so many things you can talk through. It's not even funny. By the way, let's see. You're fire. You're gorgeous. God, you got a whole posse on here. I love it.
I
So,
do. They're awesome
so
too.
things you have to do every single day: cleaning your kitchen. Oh, jeez, I
I do
am.
clean it every night before bed. That helps the morning go smoother too.
So I don't know if my wife's
Sure.
watching this right now, but we're getting the house. I told you before the call that I was trying to get that mower to start because I want everything to be perfect for when her mom and stepdad get here tomorrow. And we have the whole house cleaned. I took the deep clean vacuum today and I cleaned all the carpets upstairs. Like I'm talking like the big suction one where it has like
Yeah.
the stuff you put in, and the kitchen complete nightmare right now. So hopefully I don't let anybody down on this call. I'm gonna clean my kitchen tonight. This is my oath right here.
Back to picture.
So what are a couple of roadblocks that you've come across throughout your 5 year tenure?
There's a lot. I mean, one that we've touched on a lot is that people just don't think network marketing is legit. I would say that's one of the biggest one is that like, and I feel like so often it's because other network marketers have given us a bad reputation. Like I am a firm believer, and we don't teach our team or anything to cold message, but it's like people are probably scared to add me on Facebook because if they do, they'll be like, oh my God, she's going to cold message me and try to get me to join her team, And like, we
What's
don't
your
do that.
what's your favorite cold message that you've ever gotten? Because
Oh
so
my God.
I
I don't
obviously
love cold
won't put
message.
names out there, but it's funny that I've had one for everything, and a lot of them are really tastefully done, and they're good and they're professional. But what's your favorite one that you think you've ever
I
gotten?
don't know that I can think of a good one off the top of my head
I
because I feel like they don't even, this is the problem though, is that like they don't even stick in your memory because it's like, it wasn't personable at all. Like, you don't know me. You're just trying to, I don't know. I feel like when people do that, it's like they're trying to almost use you to their advantage, Like they
mm-hmm.
don't really care about you as a person. And I feel like that's something that we've been talking a lot about on our team, especially lately, is like building relationships is so much more important than, and that's what I strive to do is like build relationships with people, get to know people. And I think that's why I have the success that I do is because I show up. I know this isn't really answering your question, but like I show up every day and people actually know who I really am.
But that's going to segue into something that's also two more chapters in the book.
See?
Is so it's funny because I think this is a big topic. I want to hit on this quick before I completely lose my train of thought. Have you taken any personality tests before?
I've taken like a color one, and I don't remember what color it was. I want to say green.
So I want you to do something when we get off the call sometime this
Okay.
weekend. Do the Myers-Briggs 16 personalities, okay? So 16, write that down quick. We have plenty of time. 16 personalities. So that's my favorite one by far. But the funny thing about that test when I took it years apart. So I took it, 4 years ago and I took it last year. And both times I was roughly 63% introverted. And, so there's funny things behind that, a lot of people don't really think that they're cut out for something or different, they don't have what it takes. And the one thing that I tell people this every single time, and it's even in the book, is I hate sales. They're like, what do you mean you hate sales? That's what you do. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm really good at it, but I hate sales. And you know why I like doing it? Because it's building relationships, to your point. And if you build relationships, you don't have to sell. So it
Exactly.
and that's the it's like it's not a hard concept, but
It's
it's
odd.
but it's so hard for people to grasp that. And it's like, no. So and so what I actually did when I started consulting, I was working with somebody, and she's awesome, by the way, but she actually started her own business within makeup. And she hadn't done any sales outside of being a bartender and a server before, right? And so one of the things she's like, God, Ryan, I am extremely nervous. I don't like selling stuff. I don't like approaching people. And I'm like, just make it organic then. Don't rush it. Just have conversations with people like you normally would and watch their posts, because if you watch what people say and do, you're going to find a need and you're going to find something that those people have to have, right? So I used a prime example. There was a nurse on her page, the nurse, and she's a nurse too, right, for her full time. And so the nurse was wearing the mask all day and she had all these skin issues and she was like, oh, I hate wearing this mask. And the gal posted that she's like, I hate wearing this mask all the time because it makes my skin break out and this and that. She sells beauty products, she sells skincare products, and I'm like, there's your in. It's not cold. It's not. You talk to this person all the time. Just be like, hey, I saw your post the other day. It's crazy that you mentioned that because I have the same issue and I've been using this. I'd love to give you a couple of samples, see what you think, or whatever the case may be on how you want to do it. But
Yeah,
it's something that's organic, that just you've already been having conversations, and if you build those relationships ahead of time, people are organically gonna buy because they want to support you and they have a need that you can fill, right?
that's the thing too, is a lot of people don't understand how to provide value and knowledge, and it's like they just want to post a link and be like, hey, buy this, and they show a graphic of a lipstick, and it's like, but you're not telling them what this lipstick can do for them or what problem. I mean, I'm sure this sounds ridiculous to you as a male, but like, what problems can this lipstick solve for them? You know what I mean? Kind of like with the mask thing. Like, so many people are wearing masks right now and breaking out, and that's a huge confidence thing for women.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure men too, but like, we have something that can solve that. So you need to think of how you can provide value and solve people's problems, and that's how it's all going to come together, because then someone's going to be like, oh, I have, we call it mask knee because it's like acne, and
That's very original.
they're going to think of that, and they're going to be like, oh, and they're going to instantly think of you because you've been out there showing your face. They're going to be like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
Jayme sells something that I bet would work for this, you know? So
How many people do you get reaching out to you right now? Like just that you don't even maybe even say anything to. They just happen to like, hey, I saw your post.
So I don't have a lot of like reach outs, but I have customer sales literally every single day.
Yeah.
Every single day I have a new customer order. At least one, which is something that like I don't want people on here, my team or otherwise, to be like, oh, I don't have that and compare. But it's also the reason I have that is because I've showed up every single day for the last 5 years, you know? So I've constantly been building this funnel of people that I've built relationships with and I'm friends with now. Some people I'm really close friends with now. I talk to all the time. So like they're constantly coming in. These are people that I've constantly been doing this. I don't even know how to explain
So,
it.
so
I
you're
haven't
telling
met
me
this.
that consistency is key?
Yes. Is that another
Whoa. That's
It totally
crazy.
is.
You
It
have to
totally is.
you have to stick to something in order for it to work. That's nuts. I can't believe that. And so, I mean, if you look at, and that's all the way across the board. I mean, these are a lot of concepts that seem simple in theory, right? A little bit harder in practice because we're
Yes.
mentally in our own head. So, I mean, I was watching the documentary on Michael Jordan and the Bulls, right? And what was it called? Oh, I can't remember the name. That's going to drive me nuts. What the name of the documentary was, but it's on Netflix. Anyway, it was phenomenal. Oh, The Last Dance is what it's called because it's about their last championship. But
Hmm.
it's primarily about Jordan, but it's about the Bulls team. And one of the things that I kept seeing as a reoccurring theme is that Jordan was not the best basketball player when he was growing up. He was mediocre at best, but he was brought up and he had that attitude that I'm going to do this day in and day out. I'm going to be the first person there. I'm going to be the last person out. And he would be at practice, when after the lights were out. So the coach would turn the lights off and leave, and he'd go back and practice more. And it was just that consistency day in and day out. And then he became the best of of the sport. Obviously, I don't know if we have any basketball fans in here, but Michael Jordan's way better than LeBron. I'm just gonna put that out there right now. So, and I don't know. I can't get into LeBron. So, and I don't watch basketball that much anyway. I'm more of a football person. But consistency has just been so huge for me. I mean, working out, doing the routine. You said you had things that you just were just things that you had to do every single day, no matter what. And what are those, by the way? So what are your must get done, must do?
So, I mean, I go live pretty much every day. There's once in a great while that I don't if something major comes up, but I try to at least hop on for a little bit. So that's something. Um, we have like income producing activities, is what we call them. So it's those like relationship builders, like wishing your friends happy birthday, commenting on their posts, messaging them, adding new friends, which I can't do because my Facebook friends list is pretty much maxed out,
what
which is a good
what's the max?
5,000.
I
And it's
mean,
funny because a lot of times people be like, well, you're friends with them on Facebook. And I was like, listen, I'm friends with a lot of people on Facebook. That doesn't mean I like know them personally. I'm working
yeah,
on it, but it's going to take some time to get through all 5,000 people.
that doesn't happen overnight. It's kind of like
It
trying to
doesn't. It doesn't. So those are, and then like I said, I try to reach out to at least some teammates. It's hard with so many of them. Like doing all these things, like it's hard not to become glued to your phone. So sometimes, like on Friday nights, we have power hours, we call them,
hmm
and we'll just hop on and we'll all do the things together. So we'll like set timers and be like, for 10 minutes, we're going to do this. And it's cool to like sit down and like laser focus because it's so easy, like you said, to get lost in the scroll.
yeah.
So if you have that timer set and you're like, how many can I get done in this amount of time? That's super, super helpful.
How many
But
people do you have doing that at once? Like, how do you guys structure that?
we do a Zoom call. So we all get on the Zoom. I don't know. I want to say there's probably like 20-ish, which isn't a lot, but the people who show up, and
Yep.
it's that self motivation thing. Like they have to want it. I can't force them to be on these things, but um, so those are, yeah. And then those messenger parties are something I've also made a non-negotiable daily in my business because that's network marketing is obviously about networking. So you have to get out of your little pond
Yep.
and you have to meet new people. And the way to do that is by meeting your friends' people. So you're getting yourself into their circle. So every time I do a party, I'm opening up my network to a whole new group of people. And I'm shocked every time how many people have not even heard of the brand and are brand new customers, which is super. I mean, we are a newer company, but it's still super awesome when people are like, I've never even heard of it. Like that always fires me up a little bit.
You're like, yes, I'm about to teach you a thing or two.
Yes.
Let's
Yep.
go. What was it about this company? Because I know this has been a struggle for me. Like this is an honest, legit question from me. I've had probably 3 dozen different companies, people from different companies, actually approach me and go, "Hey, we want you to be a part of this." And like even currently right now, I have a couple that I'm working with that it's like I'm drilling through it, and I'm that yes man, right? So I want to look at every
Yeah.
opportunity and go because yeah, you've seen that. Have you seen that movie with
Yeah.
Jim? That's a cool concept. Like
Yeah.
don't say no to anything. And I think the concept's a little bit flawed in practice because you can't say yes to everything because then you wouldn't have time to do anything. But
Right.
I always like at least entertaining. How was it that you picked that opportunity? Because there's a lot out there and a lot of people, especially with COVID happening now and people losing their jobs, this is a prime time for people to get into it. So why makeup in general and then why the company you're at now?
So makeup was kind of like, I don't know, like the first makeup company I was in, it was literally it just happened. It just fell into my lap. It wasn't something I really looked into. It was the only, besides like Mary Kay, but I feel like Mary Kay is very dated at this point. Like, I don't know. I
They've
just
been
feel like
around for a long time.
it's like it's kind of like a generational thing. I almost feel like. So the first company honestly just fell into my lap, and I am going to be 1,000% honest with you. I never had shiny ball syndrome with any other network marketing companies. There wasn't a time that I looked on social media and I was like, oh, that one seems interesting. Nope. I was happy where I was. I was successful. I was doing well, all the things. So I'm like, why would I even look? Because I always knew you always hear the grass isn't greener on the other side,
Yeah,
right? It's greener where you water it. So I was like, yeah,
I
I'm
like that.
successful here. I just need to keep watering my grass here. But it got to a point where the products really weren't working for me. And I had seen this other company. My friend Cindy kept posting about it, and I saw her posts and I was like, okay, well, it's very affordable, which, as I said at the beginning of this,
You're
I'm very
frugal.
frugal. So that instantly was like, ooh, you know,
You're
I can get
peaked.
all I can get all my makeup for like 20 bucks. So I was like, screw it, I'll pay 20 bucks to try out this new makeup. And it worked really great. And that was a huge thing for me because I wasn't willing to switch companies without knowing I could stand behind the products, because I don't care if they were a penny for each thing. If they sucked, I'm not going to promote them. I'm not going to be able to sell that to people that I care about, because that's like an integrity issue for me
Yep.
to do that. I just stuttered. I don't think I've ever
I love
stuttered like
stutters. Yes, everybody clap.
I know. I like that's a huge integrity thing for
Yep.
me. So once I found out the products worked, it was a very hard decision. I'm not a risk taker. And Alex, he's a risk taker. He was like, go for it. And I was like, but I was making a full-time income
Mm-hmm.
at my last company. So it's like, do I really want to leave this? I had built a team, I had all the things. I was like, I just don't know if I can walk away from this. And once I found out the products worked, I started doing research, and I researched for a long time, but I feel like I don't know that I'm necessarily even passionate about makeup, which I know sounds crazy. I'm more passionate in helping women feel beautiful. Like, I feel like that's so important. And so many women struggle with self-confidence. And I knew with this company, I could serve more women and help more women because the products were more affordable. Because in the old company, the products were a lot more expensive, and it was hard for people to be able to afford that. And me being financially savvy, I would cringe when I would send an invoice for a lipstick for like $27.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. $27 for a lipstick. Now it's $11. Like, so it's cool to me. And on top of that, the opportunity here is only $20 to join. And I know so many people have watched network marketing change my life over the last 4 years and be able to stay home with my kids and all those things. But the old company was 99 to join. And honestly, some people don't have $100 sitting around to do that. So knowing that this was going to be the vehicle that I could serve so many people was worth me making a choice that, I don't know if selfish is the right word, but for once I did something that I felt like was going to be best for me and my family versus caring what everyone else thought. Because I knew when I switched companies, it was going to cause an uproar, and it did, because
Yeah.
I left at a very high rank in my last company. So it stirred up a lot of dust when I left. And I knew before that was going to happen, and that
Yeah.
was part of something that was holding me back. That, and that I was just comfortable there, and starting over is scary. Like, because I didn't know, obviously, when I left or when I started here, that I was going to have the massive success that I do. And I was like, I just hope that I can contribute to my family again. I just hope to someday maybe get back to where I was in the last company. But
Yeah.
just being able to have, like I said, that right vehicle, you have to find what you're passionate about. And like I said, for me, it's not even necessarily that I'm passionate about makeup. I'm not claiming to be a makeup artist or anything like that. I don't think I'm the best at makeup or anything, but it's nice to be able to help women find products that suit them and make them feel better about themselves.
There is probably three or four things that you said in there that I really really liked, and you'll notice that when I do my podcast, I want people to take away some key value points on this, and I think so I always reiterate, and I'll be like, oh yes, this is perfect. A couple things you said. One, it's makeup isn't necessarily the thing that you love, right? It was the vessel. Keyword. Somebody, whoever's watching this, write that down. Vessel, because you're gonna need to find yours after we get off this call. Vessel, it was funny because fitness was kind of the same way for me, right? When I first started in fitness, I was like, we were working out for years and years consistently, and I went from being that skinny little kid that got made fun of to being this guy that was, people look on the street and go, "What the fuck is this guy?" and but then I had people, and that was cool in itself. But the thing that caught me and the thing that pulled me in emotionally was when I had people starting to message me on Facebook going, "I've been watching your journey. You've made me so inspired. I started doing this and this, and you changed my life." And
Yes.
and some of these people I barely talk to, and it was so fitness became that vessel for me. I was like, yes, if I can help other people with their self image and I help them gain confidence, because I was that kid in junior high and high school that was like, oh, I'm not going to talk to anybody. I'm really inside my shell. I don't want to go outside my comfort zone. I'm just going to hang out with my core group of 3 friends and that's it. And I wasn't going to get anywhere in life that way. And so when I saw what the vessel did for me, I was like, yes, we can do this for somebody else. And I think that's a huge point that you brought up, because a lot of people go through life not realizing, because one of the videos I did recently was about purpose. Like, how do you find purpose, right? Actually, I think that was last week on Friday. And I think one of the huge things is finding that core why, going back to the beginning of the call, was everybody always does what? They're like, "Oh, I want to do this." And it's like, "Great. That doesn't matter. Why do you want to do that?" And then you have to go like 8 layers deep. Like your Inception, like the movie Inception is like you're going to go, I don't know if you've seen that. If you haven't seen that movie, it's a 3-hour movie. It's about these guys that like literally plant thoughts inside of other people's heads, like but they go layers deep. Like it's a mind f, but it's cool, the concept, because we do the same thing with the why. Is like, okay, so we're gonna get the surface what, and then I'm gonna ask you why probably 5 6 times until
Yep.
we get to that core, and then you take that core why and you couple it with the vessel, and that is purpose, and that is passion. And I think if you continue, sounds like you do that with the gals you bring on your team, or guys. Do you have any guys on your team? Do guys do that?
I don't have any direct ones. If you're just kidding, I was gonna say if you're still looking at opportunities,
Oh yeah,
we
let's
do.
do it.
I do have a couple men on my team, not under me. Like they're not. I didn't personally enroll them,
Uh-huh.
but we have a couple, and we do have men's line and all that stuff. So I honestly, I wish I was. It's something that I struggle with, is because we've always just done makeup, so it's primarily women.
Yep.
So it's hard. It's been hard for me. I guess that'll be a good roadblock, is getting through that gap of also promoting the men's stuff and the opportunity to men, honestly.
Is Alex
Because I
watching
feel
this?
like I asked him if he wanted to do it with me, and he won't.
Alex, you need to put on some men product and start rolling with
Right?
this. Let's do this. The other thing that you said that I liked was helping women feel good about themselves. So that was kind of the core purpose for you was, and this is a huge topic, so depression is extremely prevalent in today's society. And I think it's not necessarily, it is partially because it's more prevalent than it was way back in the day, but I think the other thing is people are more willing to talk about it now, which is
Mhm.
a really good thing. But a lot of people go through life trying to figure out, oh, how can I help me? How do I improve myself? And when the core thing is like, as much as you try to go figure out how you can be successful, success doesn't happen unless you're doing something for somebody else, right? It's funny how that works,
Yeah.
and the fulfillment that comes out of that. So that's another thing too, is how can you help somebody else? So you take a world problem like, hey, what can I fix? A lot of women, especially with filters and stuff, and then they take the filters off and like, oh geez,
Yeah.
this is what I look like without filters. Holy cow. It's, like if my mom's watching, she's like, she gets up in the morning, so if we're ever visiting and she gets up in the morning and she doesn't have any makeup on, and it's like, oh geez. It's
You
like,
scared me.
she's like, whoa, what is this? Or why are you in my house? And she's like,
Right.
I'm your mother. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. She's gonna kill me if she watches this.
That's
So,
hilarious.
but yeah, that it's big. It's something that helps a lot of women out. So that's a huge cause. What has been Give me a story that has been kind of a success, whether it was a client or somebody that's been working with you. What was kind of one of the cool stories? You don't have to mention names, obviously, if you don't want to, but of just somebody who had their life changed or somebody that, really valued the product and got a lot out of it.
So, first of all, I got a 10% battery warning not too long ago. So, I'm sorry. I had it really charged.
Oh, okay. So I'll ask this question and then we're gonna do some wrap up.
Okay.
Okay.
So, honestly, I think the biggest thing is since I joined pharmacy, so with my last company, I was the only one winning, which is super cool. And this is going to kind of touch base on what you were just talking about. And I mean, yeah, it was cool because I was winning and I was doing well and I was making money and I was being successful, but nobody else was. So the success story is not just one individual, it's that I was able to take a risk, which pushed me way out of my comfort zone. And it's something I never foresaw myself doing. But in turn, I've been able to help so many other people find success too. People who have never been in direct sales. The girl that I mentioned earlier on my team that's quitting her job in January, she she joined in January, I want to say, and so she's never done network marketing before this, and she's quitting her full-time job in a year within the company. Like
That's
stuff
awesome.
like that makes me so freaking happy. Like I just, but here in pharmacy, like I'm not exaggerating that everyone's winning. I thought that I was a bad leader in my last company because I couldn't build leaders, I felt like. But again, it was the vessel and the way the comp plan and all those things were structured. But now it's like I our team has like, I don't know, 25 leadership status people on them, if not more. And it's something that I never dreamed of.
That's
And it's
awesome.
not even because I have all these leaders underneath me. It's because there's so many people doing well. So it's not just one. I can't think of a specific one success story that's like, oh my God, but I can name a bunch of little ones. Like one of my good friends, like she didn't even want to sell the makeup or share it or whatever you want to say,
Uh huh.
but she was really depressed, like we talked about, and it was something that brought her back to her. And that's something I can relate to on so many levels. Being a stay-at-home mom is that like you lose yourself,
It's
and
tough.
so it's something that she was able to do for her that gave her herself back, and it's like there's so many different, like it can be about money or it can be about something like that, but there's so many different ways that people are winning here, and it's awesome to be a part of it.
That is, it's so true too, especially with stay-at-home moms, is you lose your identity in yourself because your identity now becomes your kids, which
Yep.
isn't a bad thing because I mean, to our point earlier, it changes your life. It's a love. Like I didn't know what love was. Like, yeah, I love my mom, I love my dad, I love my brother, I love my wife, but I didn't know what it truly felt like. But then you lose that other half of you that's like, who am I? Like I don't want to
Yep.
be just my kids. So we're gonna recap because the last 10% usually drops pretty fast.
I know, I'm nervous. Like I'm gonna drop out here real
So
soon.
I want to kind of encapsulate everything we've talked about and kind of come back full circle. So I'll let you kind of give your feedback. So if you had to pick, just five, and you don't have to limit it at five, but five things or so that you want people to take away from this, what would it be?
So I think definitely finding your why and your passion is one of the most important things you can do either before you join a network marketing company or as soon as you do. And keeping that at the forefront and never forgetting what it is, and telling someone else, like telling your upline what it is so that they can use that when you're losing sight of it, they
Mm,
can bring it back up. Consistency, showing up every day is so important if you ever want to be successful, because I think part of the reason we don't like network marketers is because there's always those people that at the beginning of the month they're like, oh, there's new products, and then nothing, and at the end of the month, oh, help me reach my goal, and it's like you're just a money sign to them.
yep.
So don't be that person. Show up every day. um and then providing value is so important, and building relationships is so important. Those things will they are things that will take a lot of time, but like I said, once you get that funnel constantly flowing and you've been constantly doing those things, then it's it's more sustainable, I
Mm-hmm.
guess is what I'm trying to say. It's a sustainable way to build your business and keep it going versus just cold messaging or doing those bad things.
Yeah,
So I
nobody
think
wants
that's,
to
I
see
mean, I
that.
know that was only three or four, but
I like it.
those are the main things.
That's what I took away, and then also being able to step outside your comfort zone is a huge
Yes.
thing. Yeah, so don't be afraid to take that risk. And if you find those other things, so if you find the why, if you are disciplined and you know you can do that, and you have all these other things in line, don't be afraid to just jump at it. What's the worst that can happen? You got some product that you enjoy using, and you use the product. So
Yeah, exactly.
and this translates back into everything else in life. This isn't just, network marketing. Everything that we talked about tonight is something that you can do in every aspect of your life. It's something that's going to improve everything you do. So that's what I love about it is you can always relate it back to, hey, I am not motivated. I wake up not knowing what I want to do with my day, and I don't have a purpose, and I don't have direction. Great, start looking at the things we're talking about, because even though we're talking about network marketing, it's something that you can use in everyday life. So, all right,
Totally.
last
We
any
may,
closing statements? Any closing statements?
I don't think I have, I can't do that.
I want you to do some push-ups after this so you can get your swell back on.
I need
And
to.
yeah,
I
so
need to.
actually, no, I'm not gonna make you do push-ups on camera. But
No way.
Jayme, tell Alex hi. Everybody, thank you for if you watched tonight. Thank you for joining. Obviously, I love this talk, and her phone doesn't like us, but let us know in the comments, because I always like reading the comments after the call, because right now I don't like looking at my phone because I feel like I'm ignoring Jayme. So in the comments, post what you took away from the call, what you like the most, and who looks better, me or her. So post that as well. Uh, and also, as I said earlier, I have the book out with Subtle Art of Sales. Whoever posts the coolest story about Friday the 13th gets that, and you're going to have to give me your address. I promise I won't stalk you. I'm just going to send the book. Jayme, thank you again. I might have to look at some men's products, and
Yeah, sure.
we'll talk to you
Or we have
guys.
baby stuff too.
And baby stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't
I
know if
can hook up
my
the whole fam.
I don't know if my wife is watching. Babe, we can get baby stuff.
There you go.
There we go. No, I'll shoot you a note offline. Thanks again for coming, and then we'll talk to you
Yes.
guys
Thank you for
soon.
having me.
Very welcome. Have a good night, guys. I'm going to try to end this. Bye.